Hello everybody, welcome to the Royal Life Health Show. Today I want to talk about this video and the idea of the scientific reason why we're not supposed to be eating meat, but going even beyond that, just the connection of our bodies and the diets we eat. I find it pretty amazing that I'm a student of the Bible, and the Bible teaches everything we're going to talk about here today, but Christians in general do not follow what the Bible's saying when it comes to eating diet and eating these things, and the preachers aren't teaching it. But there are other belief systems around the world that teach the connection between the food we eat and our physical health. And we're going to talk about this here and what the yogic diet is like, and it's more biblically based than the literal Christians are eating. And I don't fully 100% agree with everything in this video, but for the most part, I think it's wonderful and amazing that just pretty much every belief system around the world, except Christianity, focuses so much on the connection between the food we put in our body, and not even the food, the substances we put in our body, and our overall attitude and our overall health and our overall closeness or ability to get close to our Creator. And this video is excellent explaining food from an emotional level, food from a physical level, and also why we are scientifically not supposed to be eating meat. So we're going to look at this, and hopefully some people will learn something from this. I've been teaching this message for years, and it's important to get this. Now, they don't get into everything, because I also talk about not just what we should be eating, but when we should be eating it, how much we should be eating it. But great advice here I want to cover here. So again, I'm not a believer in the religious belief of the yoga system, but when it comes to diet and health, there are so many belief systems around the world that are living and teaching and emphasizing the diet that man can thrive on. And it's sad that Christianity and the church doesn't bring out this message that's found in the Bible as well. And let's go ahead and take a look and see what this says. And also, I'll put the original link below if you want the original link to this here.
The food that we eat is what we are made up of. We eat.
So right there, the food we eat is what we are made up of. Amazing. The food we eat is what we are made up of. And it's so true. And people just need to understand this. If you remember anything from this video, remember that the food we eat is what we are made up of. You know the old phrasing, you are what you eat, right?
Eat good things. Our body develops a sattvic inclination, comes into the mode of goodness. And if we eat garbage, then our body also transforms accordingly. What we are eating, that is what our body is made of. That is common sense.
It's not really common sense, because the common sense is what the common person in this world is doing. And the common person of this world is not using body sense or eating the way we should be eating. You know, the average person in this world will go and eat, let's say for breakfast, some fried food, some dead animal, or some stimulated, drugged up coffee or something like this. That's not the way it should be. I got these fruits right from my tree. That's my breakfast. And I don't even eat breakfast when I first wake up. You know, there's a lot of information, and it is biblically based, but, you know, it's not being taught around the world today in terms of to Christians and the church, and it should be. So this information is, a lot of it's here in this video. So here we go.
Importantly, our mind is also made of that. People come to me, Swamiji, gussa bahut aata. I have this problem of anger, extreme anger. I said, do you eat chilies? I love chilies. that is causing the anger. It's enhancing the tamogun, the mode of ignorance. Give it up. I can't give it up. Then you can't give up anger as well.
Did you hear what he just said? Anger and the food we eat is directly related. And I know this might sound foreign to some of you because you think food is just something we eat and we poop out and that's it. But no, there's definitely connections. And the healthier your body is, there's going to be a tremendous outpouring of that. When you eat healthy, when you eat natural, when you eat the way we should be eating, you're going to live the way that our Creator intended us, our bodies, to work. And I just find it amazing. It blows my mind that there's so many other belief systems out there that are putting this into practice and thriving and doing this. Like this man here teaching this. And just think about this. Just think about this. I'm not going to say every Christian preacher, but the average Christian preacher is yelling in anger and screaming on stage when he's giving his sermon. Not every. There's a good amount that aren't, but most of them are. And when you look at this man, he's calm and he's peaceful. And he's calm and peaceful. And I can only give a really good assumption that this man is always in this state. He truly has peace and shalom. Now, I don't personally agree with the spiritual beliefs, but he's obviously doing something right, as opposed to the average Christian that's walking around very upset and mad. And there's spiritual components to that, but there's also direct components to the food that people are eating and not eating. So let's continue some more.
There's a direct link between the food and the mind. And the Chandogya Upanishad has a story in this regard. The Guruji was teaching his disciples that food has an impact on the mind. So the disciples said, Guruji, this does not seem plausible to me. The mind is subtle and food is gross. How can there be a connection? The Guruji said, all right, stop eating. He made him fast for 15 days. And he said, do you remember these mantras? So the disciple had forgotten all the mantras. He said, all right, now eat. He made him eat and he started remembering the mantras. He said, see, there is a link between the two.
What a great point. What a great point. And here he's using the word mantras, and it's a lot of yogic talk and things like this. But the point is, whether you want to say mantras or prayers or whatever, when you're eating, your mind is in a different focus than when you're not eating. And what you're eating will determine the focus of your mind as well. Food has a direct connection with your attitude. I mean, just think in general. If you take food away from people, we definitely know they get cranky and upset if they don't eat when they're supposedly hungry, which they're not really hungry. It's more of a habit hunger. But that shows you the connection between food and the mind and the attitude. Then you give people food. You give people a drug, they're going to act a certain way. Right? You give them food, they're definitely going to act a certain way, as if you take food away and don't feed them. You know, so there's a direct connection. So when somebody's hungry and they're not eating, or they skip a meal and they get cranky or irritable when they don't eat, well, that proves there's definitely a connection between eating and our mind or our body. Well, now let's take that further and do what this fellow's doing here and talk about the connection between what we eat and our mind, because he's already proven, and I've given the information to show you that there's a direct connection between food and what and our mind, but now about what we're eating in our mind. And I do believe there are some systems around the world. I think in a lot of Eastern medicine and a lot of Eastern philosophy, they've come up with a very good understanding of the connection between the body and how the body works and the health of the body. There's a lot of practices that are being used from a physical standpoint for healing. But there's a lot of understanding about digestion and health and eating and the times we should eat and the amounts we should eat and fasting. Fasting is mentioned so much in the Bible, but people don't fast. They can't even miss a meal. But in these other systems in Eastern medicine, they talk a lot about fasting. Absolutely amazing that preachers don't talk about this more often, because all of this is biblical. All of this can be found in Scripture. Let's look more of this great information.
That is why the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita repeatedly tell us it is important to understand the science of proper and healthy eating.
If only the Christian church would understand how important it was. It's so important.
Foods can in general be classified in the three modes: Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. What are foods in the mode of goodness? These are the natural foods created by God for us humans. The grain, the dals, lentils, pulses and beans, the fruits, the vegetables, and all the products of the cow, all this is sattvic diet.
So I don't think, this is one part I don't agree with. I think from a biblical standpoint, the fruits and the vegetables that it says in Genesis 1:29 are the food for man, and what would you call the good food. I think the things beyond that are not as bad as, like, drinking the milk and eating the eggs aren't as bad as eating the animal. But they weren't designed for our bodies. The milk of a calf was designed for a baby calf. The milk of of an animal is designed for that animal. The milk of mother's milk is designed for the baby mother. However, if there's a sick animal and you give them mother's milk, it's going to help them as they're babies. But when nowhere in nature, in the animal kingdom, would you give a grown-up baby or a grown-up person mother's milk. Even in the humans, you wouldn't give a grown-up mother's milk. So I don't agree with the animal products such as milk. And as for grains, what grains are today is one of the worst foods we could put in our body, the most addicting foods. It might not have been that way back in the beginning of creation, but now it is. It's mostly processed. But in general, what this man is saying is excellent. And these are the good foods for us. The foods, the fruits and vegetables, these are the foods that are for our bodies and the foods we should be consuming.
Right. When you take it properly, in moderation, it makes your body sattvic, brings it into the mode of goodness, makes your mind sattvic, peaceful, calm, composed. So this is...
You see, what he taught about, he spoke in moderation. And moderation is a funny word because even poison in moderation is still poison. But what he's referring to is temperance, not overindulgent. It's one of the most important health aspects of the Middle Eastern philosophy when it comes to diet and just about anything is not overindulgent. It's not about moderation of bad things. It's about not to overindulge even in these good things. So it's an important concept. Yes.
This sattvic diet. However, the same food, when you take it to the extreme, overcook it, too much of salt, or too much of chilies, or too much of sugar, or too sour, in other words, anything too much in it, then it becomes rajasic. It comes into the mode of passion.
So before we get into the connection between our attitude and everything, he's talking about a very important concept. You can take a good food like fruits and vegetables and destroy it by cooking it, processing it, and putting a whole bunch of bad things in it. And just really the processing of it is, because the idea is, and what we need to understand is, the closer you eat the food to the way it was in nature, like this mango here, the closer you eat this, like I just pulled this off the tree. I wait for it to ripen. Food has a life process to it. It has a ripening process, a process to eat it, and then a rottening process where it's no good. That's it. Real food has that. Fake food doesn't have that, or bad food doesn't have that. And this is going to taste perfect when I'm supposed to be eating it. But what happens is when I'm not supposed to eat it, it's not going to taste perfect. When I eat this, I can eat this and love it, and it's delicious. It's the perfect balance of fiber, of sugar, of nutrition, of everything. But when I take this and I want to add salt to it and add peppers to it and add all these other things to it, maybe in a little small amount I can get away with, but the more I add to it, the more I'm making this good food, a food that's no longer good. So what we're supposed to do is eat the good food in a good state. But what people often do is they take a good food and they eat it in a bad state. And what many people do today is they take bad food and they eat it in a bad state. So they're making bad food worse. Not even making good food bad, they're making bad food worse. And that's even worse.
You are then eating to gratify the palate. You have to eat to live and not live to eat. But that is what we are doing in the mode of passion. So when we eat foods in the mode of passion, it sends the mind into a spin, enhancing the worldly aspirations, increasing the worldly desires to see, touch, taste, feel, hankering for worldly enhancement. That is the characteristic trait of the mode of passion. There is then the mode of ignorance, tamogun. So what is tamasic food? Food that has putrefied, that is stale, that is dry, that is addictive, and all the meat products.
That right there is worth gold in value, what he just said. The food that's stale and putrefied, the food that's dried and addictive. See, all these things are things what the standard American diet is based on. You got your drug addictive coffee and chocolate. You got your meat products, which is just about everything. And then you got your food that's been dried and processed, found in a bag, box, container, or can. There's no life to the food. The enzymes are one thing that have been destroyed, but there's just no life. Food was not designed. It shouldn't be able to sit on a shelf for years before we put it in our body. It's just such great information here, and I wish more people would understand this. And this is the message I've been living and teaching for a long time, and hopefully if people hear it from someone else, they'll get it.
So all these meat products and eggs and fish, they are all included in the category of tamogun, foods in the mode of ignorance. So when we take such foods, the body and mind take on such a disposition. The nature of the mode of ignorance, tamogun, is it increases the tendency to violence, increases the anger, laziness, addiction, sleep. These are the traits. And increases in general the darkness of the soul.
Do you hear this information? And I have found this to be true. The food we eat is not just about health and disease. It's about we live our lives. And when you're eating foods that enhance the darkness or the negative traits, the anger, the violence, and the emotion on any level, the emotions and just these type of things, whatever viewpoint you want to look at it from a yogic standpoint, from a Christian standpoint, whatever viewpoint, Eastern or Western medicine or society, darkness comes with these foods. In this environment, light cannot dwell. You must clean the body to be able to experience and dwell in and with the light. It's so important we understand this. You know, it's not just about disease or not disease. And when we talk about the quality of life, it just doesn't mean, you know, do I feel sick or not feel sick? We're looking at something at a much higher level. At a much higher level. And in general, even when we're eating, in general, we're taken to our place where we're starting to get the emotional responses. This is why fasting is so powerful and so important. And the Bible talks about fasting and praying. Two of the most cleansing, healing things you could do for your life. But when we start putting that food in our bodies, we have to be careful about how we're doing it. We need to think about it, because say people don't think about the food they're putting in their bodies. They really don't. I mean, they can't even read the stuff in a bag, box, container, or a can. They definitely don't know what it is, and they're still putting it in their bodies. And they don't understand the consequences of these things. And even when you get to a point of eating healthier foods, overdoing it and processing it and overindulgence and eating at the wrong times, like eating at nighttime when we're supposed to be resting, it's creating a tremendous problem. And we're opening up doors to the darkness and we're closing doors to the light. This is so important.
So, of course, the Vedic scriptures repeatedly say that don't take meat products. But throughout the world, in all religious tradition, we find that many noble souls, saints, thinkers, although born in meat-eating families, they naturally gravitated towards vegetarianism. Whether it was in America, in England, etc., great thinkers, they naturally felt that, this is not in consonance, this diet, with my thoughts. So I'd rather take a vegetarian diet. That is why George Bernard Shaw had said, he was a vegetarian, he said, don't make your stomach the graveyard for animals. However, if we logic it out, God has designed this body for vegetarianism. See, the carnivorous animals.
Well, now he's going to talk about the scientifically proven information that goes right along with scripture, how we were designed to be a vegetarian diet. Now, for those of you that are watching that say, well, Jesus ate fish, or he wasn't a vegetarian, or you want to say that certain things are good for our body, I'm going to put a link to another video below that I recently did that explains all of that information as well and talks about that. But what this man said was so true. The greatest minds in the world will gravitate towards the understanding that what we're eating and how we're eating and how much we're eating definitely has something to do with our mind. So that's a great way to put it, with our mind. We could say with light and darkness, but we'll say with our mind. So now he's going to get into the idea of the meat and think about the anger that the world feels, and think about the carnivore animal, and let's hear what he has to say.
They have very short intestines because meat putrefies very rapidly. So if it remains for long, it'll putrefy and then it'll cause disease. So it has to be expelled quickly. That is why the intestines of non-vegetarian animals are very small, 3 times the body length. And the human intestines are 10 to 12 times the body length, the small intestines. So the food is going to remain in for so long that meat will putrefy. So medical statistics reveal that meat eaters have twice the risk of cancer compared to non-meat eaters.
Now that alone should make somebody question this. Meat eaters have twice the risk of cancer than non-meat eaters. That alone should make anyone say, well, I don't want to get cancer. And the rates of cancer are so high. So if meat puts me at a double the rate of chance to get cancer, why don't I stop eating meat? And that's the question. Why don't you stop eating meat? And we talk about the mind and the darkness and the anger and the spiritual warfare that's going on out there. Think about why you have an addiction to something that is so terrible and so bad for your body. Just think about that.
That's against the bodily design. And all this holy cow disease that spread, they were feeding beef to the cows. Now they're going against the design of God, and that was the cause. And apart from that, these carnivorous animals have sets of teeth. Planned accordingly, they've got a whole set out here of canines for biting and tearing that flesh. God has given us molars out here. He's not given canines all the way through. And then apart from that, these carnivorous animals have a higher level of acid in the stomach to digest that meat. Not we humans. It's not to that extent. And a very interesting characteristic you will notice is that all these meat-eating animals, when they drink water, they lap the water. And they regulate body temperature not by sweating, but through the tongue. And we humans,
there's so many scientific or physical reasons to show that we are not created equal with animals when it comes to food and digestion and our health. When are people going to wake up and get it? Ask yourself why you are addicted to things that are proven to create cancer. Ask yourself that.
we don't regulate body temperature through the tongue, but through the pores. And we don't lap water, we suck the water. So all this is indicative that God designed this human body for vegetarianism. Apart from that, if we are killing animals, then the karmic reactions, we will have to bear them. You're taking life for yourself, you will have to face the karmic reactions. Now, Sri Krishna is going beyond. And he's saying even if you kill vegetables, even then you are indulging in sin. So he says that all right, vegetarian diet is fine, but even then, there has to be a proper way of doing it. Because life exists in various forms. The plants also have life. Dr. J.C. Bose, the Calcutta scientist in the early 20th century, he revealed how the plants possess consciousness and you can enhance their growth through music. And when the gardener walks in who loves the plants, their vibrations change. And when a hunter walks in with a gun to kill the birds, again the vibrations of the trees change. So these trees possess consciousness, they possess life, they also have souls. If you are killing them, you are still involving yourself in karma.
Absolutely amazing information here to show the connection of everything our Creator created. And I don't necessarily personally believe that trees have souls and plants have souls, but I definitely know there's I want to use the right words, but a vibration or a right word where if plants are in the right environment, I've seen it with my own eyes that if they're in environments where there's the proper type of music, the plants will grow better than where if there's not the proper type of music. Absolutely amazing information that is important to understand. This is why sprouting is so amazing, and I teach about sprouting is, you know, there's a difference between raw food and live food. And you can watch my videos to see the difference. But live foods have the life in them. And raw foods, depending how you're making them, can become quite processed as well. But also how you're treating them as you're harvesting them and growing them. All amazing information that this man's talking about here and people should consider.
So, how to release yourself from the karma of killing these vegetables and plants? So, Sri Krishna says, Arjun, those who offer their food to God and partake of the remnants, they are released from sin. While those who merely eat in the enjoying consciousness are actually eating sin. So the difference out here is in the internal attitude.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. This man who's not a Christian, this man who's not following anything to do with Western society, is giving such a powerful message, a biblical message. Wow.
If our attitude is, let me enjoy this, let me enjoy that, then face the karmic reactions. But if our attitude is...
Now, again, the whole idea of karma is an Eastern traditional explaining of certain things. But certainly, I wouldn't call it karma on a physical level, but certainly it makes just physical sense. If we eat something that creates sickness, we're asking for sickness. If we invite ourselves into places of darkness, we're asking for problems.
I do need to eat, otherwise this body will not function. But my goal is to use this body in the service of God and in reaching Him. So that is why I have to take care of it. So whatever I eat, first let me offer it to God. Oh Lord, you please accept this, and then I will partake of it as your remnant. So Sri Krishna says, this attitude, Arjun, will release you from sin.
Amazing, amazing. So I am not going to, I don't like that last picture and all these pictures in the Eastern philosophy of things as much, but the message is a great message. I'm putting the link to this original video below because I think it's something that needs to be watched and studied. And I think looking at other cultures around the world and see the connection of how our Creator in the Bible connects to what these people are doing. And I say it all the time, so-called New Agers today are living a closer biblical message when it comes to diet and health than the so-called Christians. But if you take all titles away, you take all belief systems away and all religions away, and it's just you and our Creator and what He's given us. The apple is better than the apple pie. The carrot is healthier than the carrot cake. And certainly, eating a salad is going to get you a lot closer to our Creator. It's going to clear up your mind a lot better. It's going to keep you away from disease, as opposed to you eating deep-fried Twinkies. Definitely things to consider. And I really love what this man said about offering your food up to God, or just praying before you eat the food and being thankful, about humility, and not being like the average person that jumps out of bed and rushes to eat, and all day long they just work so hard to try to get the foods that are going to harm them, and just always thinking about the pleasure of food as opposed to thinking about just being close to our Creator and avoiding the things that are going to create things that are going to open up things of darkness to us, like eating the wrong types of foods. Definitely a connection between anger and the food we're eating, and definitely a connection to these things. Now, if somebody's going to go on a fast, the first day they might be very angry and irritable. But the cleaner you eat and the better you eat, that happens less often when you do that. Now, I can go without food today and I could be okay. If I was eating McDonald's yesterday, I'd have a tough time. There's detox and there's a whole bunch of things to learn. I teach it on my channel. But this is such a powerful, beautiful message. So I air it in hopes that some of you will get it and figure it out and not make excuses. And we see the picture here of a plant. Our Creator is amazing. Whether it's this information in this video from this Eastern type of traditional way, or whether it's from Genesis 1:20 in the Bible, the food for man, our Creator gave us it and told us and wants us to understand the connection between the food we eat, our physical health, and also our mental well-being. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. And if you have comments or questions, please put them below. If this is provoking you to eat healthier, please look at my other videos. This is what I try to do. And if you have any disease or illness, you can overcome that by getting rid of the things that are adding to the problem and start living a healthier lifestyle, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Until then, everybody have a blessed day and a great world life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.